Yeah. Good morning, everybody. That's Scroobius Pip. I forgot that ends cold. And intro diction. Got that request off the old Twitter last night from NorCal Graffiti. Thank you for that one. I want to check out more of Scroobius Pip.
Scroobius Chip.
Scroobius Pip. Pip.
So we have Bert Kreischer today and Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes, very good.
According to Twitter.
Yes. Well, we're mad at E-Rock. And I know he's going to go, what now? But
do you understand
Jimmy's very annoyed.
Well, we both are a little irritated.
I'm annoyed. Jimmy's annoyed.
E-Rock, do you understand what we're bothered by?
I'm looking at it now.
Why wouldn't you put their @ handles when you're mentioning them?
Because it's tagged on the photo.
Why are you screaming at me?
Because you're attacking me right off the top of the bat.
What do you mean it's tagged on the photo?
They're all tagged to it.
What do you mean?
Including Opie, which is how you found it and retweeted it.
Yeah, if you look at the photo, it goes right to your @ mentions.
It saves you character space so you don't have to put the actual handles in there.
I don't understand.
So
for real.
The photo is tagged.
I know what E-Rock means, and I understand that, and I've been tagged in things.
Right.
But will you see that the same as if someone tweets?
Exactly the same.
Then you know what? Let me take this opportunity to shut my mouth.
Mark that.
And tell E-Rock my apologies.
But where do you see the tags?
You don't see it. It's in the photo.
It's a new thing they're doing?
It's been like that for about a year.
I meant in the last year.
Yeah.
But how do you... So I can't see all the tags for this particular photo?
It shows up in your @ mentions.
It says who is in this photo.
On the photo.
Who's in this photo?
On the bottom of the photo, it's kind of grayed out. If you tap that, it shows you the whole list of who's attached to the tweet and to the photo.
But the only thing is that people can't see it in general, though, so they can't retweet it. Like,
when they retweeted, they're still attached.
Okay.
It's just making it easier on the eyes and saves you characters so you can write more.
All I want to do is see the tags.
You can see.
You just click on it. It says who's in the photo. Just click
right
on
under
that.
the photo.
Under the
you'll
photo.
see who's attached to it.
You clicked on the photo.
Yes.
Under the photo.
Go back to the tweet.
I clicked on the photo.
Yeah, you can. It says
don't
under
click on
the photo. It says Sirius XM and 3 others.
I'm just confused. That's all. I want to learn something new today.
Show them.
What am I doing wrong?
You and 3 others.
Right.
So click on you and 3 others.
Oh, click on that. So and then click on this.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Okay, I didn't know.
You learn something new every day. It's that's part
Hope
of
he got me all
living.
riled up. I'm sorry, Eric.
But you didn't know either.
No, I didn't. But I walked in and he's like, "What's he doing?" I'm like, "I don't know. Let's question him on the air." That was my fault because he wanted to ask you before, and I'm like, "Now let's just ask him on the air."
I was going to just ask you off air.
That's all. I'll accept.
That's true.
A big piece of that one.
So Jimmy was the one that wanted to embarrass you to hopefully a large audience.
Well, I just figured it was fodder for an amazing chat. We all learned something today. But these things backfire sometimes.
I had no idea about that.
It's the same with Instagram when people say, when we put our photos up and say, why aren't you tagging these people?
Right.
You tag them on the photo so it saves space in your text.
Yeah, because otherwise you got a tweet or an Instagram comment full of
and it
mentions.
takes away characters from the space that you want to write.
All right, then. I like this new technology.
Well, new is
I love this brand new technology.
It's not brand new. Is definitely.
When did it start?
incorrect.
Like Monday?
No, a long time ago.
A long time ago. What? Week ago?
No, much longer than that.
I did not know, for real. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, good morning to everybody.
Yes.
Keeping it topical.
I guess we'll take Big Daddy's phone call in Florida. Go ahead, Big Daddy. Go ahead.
Hey guys, I was just wondering, how did it feel when Arnold Schwarzenegger said it was nice seeing you guys again, and then you had to realize he was only talking to Kevin Pollak?
I don't even know if he was talking to Kevin Pollak when he said that, because he said, "Nice to see you guys," meaning all of us. Maybe, I mean, he's such a big star. He probably doesn't even know if he ever did our show before yesterday.
He probably was saying it and then realizing Kevin was in the group.
Right.
And he just said, like, "Nice to see you guys again." Like, it's, you know, it's one of those things where you're talking to a group who you know from different circumstances. Kevin he knows from before, us he knows from now.
Right.
So he didn't want to be impersonal and say, "Nice to see you guys," because of Kevin. So we kind of got squeezed into Kevin's again, which was nice.
Yeah, I mean, we Go ahead.
You piggybacked into it. You got piggybacked into it. Okay.
Kind of, yes.
It felt a little weird when he said that, because we did have a very good time with Arnold Schwarzenegger yesterday. But he's one of those celebrities, I guarantee by the time he was 20 feet from the studio after the interview, he forgot about us.
No, I don't know about that. He was a
Really?
governor. Yeah, he's not a typical dumb celebrity. He probably notices a lot more than you think. I mean, he had to go over. I'm not saying you have to be a genius to be the governor,
Right?
But he's not a dumb guy.
Unlike Roger Daltrey. When I saw him a mere 2 hours after our interview, walking from the park with one of his friends, probably his manager or someone very close to him in business. And I go, hey, Roger. And he looked at me like, who the fuck is this asshole Who fan? And I go, no, man, Opie from Opie and Anthony, you were on our show this morning. And he was like no recognition that he talked to us a mere 2-3 hours earlier.
Sometimes that happens. Yeah, it sucks. Although sometimes I remember. I was at UFC on Saturday.
Right.
And Luis Guzman was there. And I saw him, and I'm like, he's not going to remember us. I'm sick of not saying hello to people I like. Like, he was on. He was a nice guest.
He was great.
Enjoyable guy.
He was great.
So I walked over and I said hello. I'm like, hi, I'm Jim. We interviewed you. He's like, oh, man. He was very happy. It was a brief hello, but he was nice about it. It wasn't a major...
But you could tell there was a recognition there?
Yeah, or even if he was making it up. He is an actor, so who knows?
Yeah, we do get that as well, but there's
sometimes you got to tell them where they know you're from. That's all.
Yeah, there's certainly a bunch of celebrities that forget as soon as they leave the studio, which is all right. Whatever, we all understand what's going on there. Thank you, Big Daddy.
All right, guys, I appreciate it.
I mean, it was just great to talk to Arnold Schwarzenegger. That ended up to be a lot of fun.
It was. He was very nice, and again, he's very easy to interview because he just talks about anything.
He doesn't look real, right? He's so famous, he doesn't look real. I was looking at him like, holy fuck, that's Arnold Schwarzenegger, my God. Right?
For the first minute he was in, it was a little nerve-wracking because he's getting settled and you want to, you don't know what his vibe is like.
Right.
But after that, it was fun.
He walked in and he was intense because he was just trying to figure out the room real fast.
Yeah.
And then he settled in quickly, but... Huh, Sam?
Yeah, I was noticing it was like a few minutes. Like at first, he definitely was trying to figure out the room and the motivations of everybody. I think Pollock being here was helpful.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that was nice.
But yeah, I think real quick he kind of settled in. You could kind of see he started laughing more at the questions, and he figured out the room really quickly. He had a good time.
Yeah.
He had a good time.
Yeah,
took photos with everyone. Some came out a little blurry. Some came out good.
You got a blurry photo with?
I wouldn't say really blurry.
Did you tweet it? I saw your tweets yesterday.
Bad. It's not when you zoom in. You can see.
When you zoom in, it's not up to your.
Mine was the same way as yours.
Your liking.
Oh, yours was too.
Yeah, it was blurry like yours.
Is that why you Instagrammed it a teeny bit? Like you filtered?
I filtered it.
Oh, okay. Yours didn't look bad. But it's not like it's instead of a 10, it's a 7. So it's not like it's a disaster. It's fine. And I did get a.
Oh yeah, that's really blurry.
Yes, that's not bad.
I'm kidding. That's not blurry. What are you talking about?
No, when you zoom in on the face on an 8x10, it's a teeny bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Sam noticed the same about his, but it wasn't a big deal because what I did was the picture of all of us together.
Right.
I was able to. Those are crystal clear.
Right.
I guess because there's no movement. And so I was able to zoom in on me and Arnold and that, and it looks perfect.
You cropped us out?
Just for my own house, yes.
You know,
I would have set you guys on fire if I had to.
Might be happening. I think that amazing sparkle in your eye sets off the flash on the camera.
I want the flash. The flash makes it clearer.
No, but it's that sparkle that just bounces back.
Yeah, the little cling on my teeth.
Yeah.
But yeah, believe me, that's fine to blow up and get it to get taken. I'm not complaining. It was just funny when I zoomed in. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, it was definitely a good time. Today we do have Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's a great talker.
Yeah,
he is fantastic. What are we going to ask him today?
I'm going to ask him a bunch of moon questions.
Oh,
what's up on the moon?
Talk about the moon.
Yeah.
What's up on the moon?
How come they call moons butts?
They don't. It's the other way.
Whatever. You ever go to Saturn? It's a good question.
No, it's not. Nobody's been there.
Shut up.
Well, I guess we could ask him that stuff. Sure.
No.
And then we got Bert Kreischer outside the studio.
Yeah.
Chomping at the bit.
He's ready.
He's ready to come in.
Yeah.
Well, we need a few minutes just to kind of hang out, right?
He's already been periscoping this morning. He's good to go.
Oh, good.
He's one of those periscopers.
Yeah, I was periscoping yesterday.
I hope that today I have a Reddit AMA at 4 o'clock.
Right.
I hope they don't give me the business, or I'm going to have a Robert Downey Jr. moment.
You're going to just walk off?
How uncomfortable is that?
I got to see this video again.
Travis raised the point that maybe they had specified in the interview you couldn't ask him personal questions.
Yeah, I mean,
and the guy agreed to it and broke that.
This was the same guy, by the way, who like 2 years ago got Tarantino pissed off with those movie violence questions.
But the odd thing is, and I love Tarantino, but I've been interviewed a lot about stuff, and believe me, I've had to deal with it. Was your cake stomp one year, it was Anthony's thing the other year, and this year
right.
It's never a point where I'm going to go like, oh my God.
Right.
Even if you think someone's being confrontational, just talk your way through it.
Well, and
it's not that hard.
And I mean, the competition is fierce out there, and these guys are trying to get something a little different done with their interview. Most of these celebrity interviews, and certainly we've had our share over the years, are boring.
They're boring.
They're fucking boring. And so you do try to maybe get them to open up about something else, and you try some different things. It doesn't mean you're trying to, fuck the celebrity over, but the guy you have on your show is doing another 10 of these after you. And they're all pretty much the same fucking interview. So.
And the thing is, these guys don't know how to take a question. These are softball questions. If he said something in an interview to the New York Times, which is when he first started getting uncomfortable, about you can't come out of jail and be a liberal, well, you could see he gets tense. But all he's got to do is just say, like, wait, hey, look, man, sometimes you're in jail, you don't think when you come out, or you change your opinion over time.
Right.
But he gets tense at that. And then the question about drugs and alcohol, he's like looking over his shoulder.
Right.
Why can't you use that if you're still sober, why not just springboard that into a discussion about how much better life is to wake up and remember what you did last night? Like, why is it tense?
And as a viewer, that's way more interesting than hearing about, what was your inspiration for your role as the...
Oh, my God. What would Tony Stark do if he broke down? Ugh.
Exactly.
So these people are very easily disarmed. If someone's asking you a question, even if they have shitty attentions, if you give them a real answer and you're open about it and you're comfortable talking about it, a lot of times it takes away their motivation to get you.
Right.
Because you're not being defensive.
Right.
Fucking some of these actors, man, they have no idea how to do this one-on-one, even though they're brilliant actors.
And then he feels like he's in a little trouble, so he did exactly what Paris Hilton did, and certainly others in this studio. They look over their shoulder for the publicist.
Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta did it?
At XM.
No, because that was a time thing. I think he was enjoying himself.
No, it wasn't the first time, because we watched him. He kept leaning his hand down while you guys were talking under the chair, and doing this kind of hand movement to the publicist to say, "Oh, we're done. He has to get out of here."
What were you saying to him?
It was something with Jay Moore too. Like Jay Moore was bothering him, or just wasn't comfortable with whatever it was.
Yeah, Jay was there that day. Maybe they had.
But Steve and I were watching him, and
I know I caught that too.
Would shove his hand under the seat and make the signal to the publicist to get him out of here.
This is the first time I'm hearing of this because I thought
we talked about it after he left too.
I don't remember, man. I don't remember every single thing we've done over the years.
But
Jesus,
he did come back
more than I do.
No, he did. But that initial visit to the show, he did that like some other celebrities did. Like,
but do you know why he was doing it?
I think Jay was kind of putting him off.
In what way?
I think Jay was just messing with him.
Jay was doing a lot of Goodfellas stuff and things, and I think it was just coming off a little maybe over-aggressive that Ray wasn't.
But Ray's intense and aggressive himself.
Well, he might not have known. Sometimes if you don't know where someone's coming from.
Right.
Like, I've heard things other guys have said. I'm like, was that guy being a dick?
Right.
Oh, you know what I did last night that was fun? I did Race Wars. Metzger and Sherrod. That was a fun fucking podcast, man.
Nice. We're gonna get that podcast on this channel.
It was really fun, yeah. And
nice.
There was I don't remember the one girl's name. I know Caitlin's a friend of mine, and also Kurt's girlfriend, Karen. But I don't know who the other woman was, but that was a lot of fun.
Good.
I just remember that because it was a fun experience.
Yay!
Aww.
Let's look at this interview that went a little weird,
awry.
Well,
how about a weeder of the
Robert Downey Jr. walks off.
Just named one.
It's 4. What channel is this?
That's for
this
Channel
is
4
BBC,
News.
I guess, right? Or
No, Channel
England.
4 is independent.
Channel 4 News in England.
In England,
In okay. All right, let's play this.
Well, you have to go. This is the 7-minute version.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nice Iron Man talk. It's a good interview, actually, at one point about the Iron Man, and he's asking smart questions. But you could see that he's hesitating and hemming and hawing because he knows he's about to get into some personal shit.
All right, let's do this.
Peckers.
I'm not saying that I'm such a fantasist that I felt like I was Tony Stark, but I felt like it was my persona. But none of us are our personas.
But he's becoming a much more likable character as well, isn't he?
I suppose
a better
so.
man.
Yeah, he's becoming a better guy.
In a way that you are as well, I suppose.
That was a smart segue.
Sure.
I mean, what I'd really like to ask you about a quote you gave to the New York Times, and I don't want to pry, so if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But what you said to the New York Times once was,
he's already uncomfortable.
It was after your incarceration, and you said you can't go from a $2,000 a night hotel suite to a penitentiary and understand it and come out a liberal. And I just wondered what you meant by that.
Well, the funny thing is, and I appreciate your point of view, things that you said 5-7 years ago or things you said in an interview that made sense to you at the time, I could pick that I could pick that apart for 2 hours and be no closer to the truth than I'd be giving you some half-assed answer right now. I couldn't even really tell you what a liberal is. So therein lies the answer to your question.
But the statement sort of stands by itself, doesn't it? I mean, does that mean you're not a liberal, or that you came out of prison not being a liberal?
Are we promoting a movie? To me, the thing is that I'm certainly not going to
pause for a second?
on anything I've said. But
it's interesting on a couple points here. First of all, he handled the question very well, right?
Who, Robert?
Yeah, he answered it.
Yeah, that first question he did, yeah.
And the guy's continuing, and then Robert sounds like a dick, like, are we promoting a movie? We're 5 minutes into the interview, so for the most part, he was promoting the movie for most of that 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's like, well, how much about the movie? Like, you could talk about the Avengers and all that stuff, but that is really boring after a while.
Right.
Why not just have a real discussion with the guy about something? It's not like he's asking about molesting kids. You gave a quote to the New York Times.
Right.
I think it's fair to ask about that.
Right.
Well, I think I'm sure there's an understanding, though, when they go in. Like, they're allotting these guys 7 minutes. So I'm sure that they go, yep, you can have them. All we're doing is talking about the movie, because the interviews are only intended to get cut up into a 30-second drop so you can play something about the movie on the news.
That's
like,
true.
it literally is a commercial. It's not a real interview.
Oh, that's true. Okay, but these guys also don't know how boring it is to only hear about the movie for 7 minutes. They don't. We know the director was fun.
They're
We
not
understand.
they're not airing 7 minutes.
Okay, this is. Didn't he say it's a commercial? Maybe you're right.
I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe but as the interviewer, you sit there and you go, man, no one's going to give a fuck about this. So you keep prying and prying. You're always, in this new world, you're always looking for that soundbite, that 15, 20 seconds that is going to go everywhere for you.
And Robert gave it to him.
Right.
Yeah. Like, nobody would notice this interview if he just answered that question casually and acted like it was a great question and he's happy the guy asked it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really glad you brought that up. I don't know what I meant. It was silly.
Right. It's something I said 5 to 7 years ago. I explained it at the time.
Yeah.
And then it keeps going back to that. But then him getting annoyed, it's now the story.
Now it's the story.
But this interviewer also does not at all read him, or he ignores him, that obviously he was annoyed.
No, of course
when
he
he
tell.
answered.
No, he could
and
tell.
then he just decided to keep pushing and pushing and
Well, why
pushing.
wouldn't he could tell, and he was trying to be. That was why he said Tony Stark's a better man, much like you're a better man.
Right.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Just weaseling his way into that question.
Yeah, personal question time.
I don't really have a problem with what's going on.
I don't at all by the interview.
I don't think it's that bad, especially because it's something that he did say to the New York Times. Let's see what happens now.
I wouldn't say I'm a Republican or a liberal or a Democrat. I think when I was talking to the person who was doing the interview that day, and that just happened to be my opinion. That's the nice thing, is you can have opinions and they kind of change and flow.
Yeah, well, that's life and that's growing older, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you say we're promoting an interview. I mean, promoting the movie. I mean, obviously you're doing a promotional round of interviews, and that's why we're talking about the movie. But we also would like to talk a little bit about you, and I don't know how comfortable you are, talking about yourself at the moment.
You have as much time as anyone else will.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, then let me just ask you a few more questions, and you can answer them if you want to, and not.
Looks
if
at the
you don't want
publicist.
to. I mean, well, I think we've got 3 more minutes on our agreement.
Your foot's starting to jump a little bit. You better get to your next question.
He's furious.
Yeah.
The reason I'm asking about the past is that you've talked in other interviews again about your relationship with your father and the role of all of that in.
He's furious.
The dark periods you entered and taking drugs and drinking and all of that. And I just wondered whether, you think you're free of all of that, or whether that's still something.
I'm sorry, I really don't. What are we doing?
Well, I'm just asking questions. That's all.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
are you? Oh, I'm sorry.
Take your mic.
It's okay.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
Do you?
You seem okay. It's just getting a little Diane Sawyer in your.
No, look, I don't want to do that.
He said it's just getting a little Diane Sawyer, and you're kind of a schmuck.
Right.
And I think the publicist said time, meaning that they were keeping him. They were like, okay, he gets 7 minutes,
they were,
and like we're cutting him off.
It was time. It was done. And that's, I guess, in that moment, you can't fault the publicist because that was directly from Robert Downey. The publicist was just doing what he wanted.
Right.
That was not the publicist being cunty. That was simply honoring what he wanted. But you know,
I don't like the interviewer.
I don't mind him because what he was saying
But
there basically is, are you sober? Are you drinking and
Right.
getting high?
But
That's what-
you know, if you've got a minute left, you got 60 seconds with some guy, and you're going to bring up like his alcohol and his dad. Like you want this guy to like bare his soul with 40 seconds that we have left.
Maybe he was looking at it like they had a couple of minutes left and he wanted to get to a real question. I have zero problem. I really don't. No problem at all. If you've talked about that stuff in other interviews, and why should Diane Sawyer be the only one that's allowed to ask you a non-boring fucking question?
Or it's got to be set up months in advance and vetted, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the interviewer kind of bothers me in general.
I think he was just nervous
He's a little
going into
wormy.
this.
Yeah, I think
maybe.
he's
He's a
I
little
think he's
wormy
looking
because
for that.
Robert Downey Jr. He even pointed out, look at your leg. You know, he was getting all nervous because I think he was trying to get, you know, some big soundbite from him.
Maybe. But there was
He
a way-
could have that
Has
interviewer-
Robert Downey Jr. talked about that in recent years?
I honestly don't know.
I
don't
feel
know
like
if
he
he's-
hasn't. I don't remember a time where a clip was out there where he was talking about his sobriety.
But it's one of those things where if you're doing good, it's so easy right there to go, life is so good right now.
Right.
I'm so glad that stuff was terrible.
Right.
Like, that's such an easy question to diffuse and fucking throw water on. That's not a
Right.
tough question.
Right.
Yeah, but that interviewer could have easily turned that around and made him feel comfortable and still gotten a soundbite. He did not have to be. He was abrasive.
Well, that was, I think, also because he had less time, and that was because you can see Robert Downey. If people watch it, you can see he's looking to his left. So this guy knows his time is limited now. Like he knows he's getting uncomfortable.
Right.
And he wasn't asking him inappropriate questions at all. It wasn't like he was aggressively trying to get him on something that Robert Downey Jr. We heard you're sleeping with whatever.
Right,
What?
right.
It wasn't one of those.
Yeah, but the questions you were asking were not like, you have 5 minutes to do this junket and talk about this movie questions. The questions he was asking were, you're coming into like a radio studio and you're talking for a half hour.
That's true.
We can actually get into stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
You know
But
what
I mean, he probably would love a half hour with Robert Downey Jr. You know, if you only have 7 minutes, it doesn't change how you want the thing to go.
Yeah. And I mean, I know I'm a nobody on that scale, but of all the interviews, a lot of guys wouldn't want to talk to him. He'd give you a much better fucking interview. I love when people get in depth with questions in an interview, man. It's so much more interesting to talk to them than some boring fucking. So you were in Spider-Man. I get that. You're from Bayonne. Who cares if I'm from Bayonne?
I
fucking gives a shit.
Born and raised?
I'm playing it safe on this one because I feel like the interviewer is just wormy in
Yes, I
general.
think.
But I also agree with Jimmy that those questions weren't that bad, and he could have easily diffused it.
Easily.
Especially with all the time he has spent in front of media.
But what
he
if-
knows how to handle himself.
Here's where Robert Downey Jr. could have got mad. I think his son was in trouble recently, and that was public. If he had started saying about his son, then Robert could have said, like, I'd rather not talk about my son. That's his life, and I try to discuss my children. Like, that's fair. But this was just about him and things he said.
He could have just had a very safe answer, very boring answer. But now we're talking about this.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have talked about this dumb 7-minute interview with this guy.
He should have said, I got so fucking zooted, I was flying like Iron Man.
Iron.
Said that.
All right, well, there you have it. We'll put that on our Facebook page. People know how to find this shit, but just
Yeah,
in case,
it's all
we'll make it easy for you. All right, I think we're going to break early today because we got Bert Kreischer in studio, and
Yeah.
we also have Neil deGrasse Tyson coming in for
NGT.
He's only going to be here for like 15 or 20 minutes. He's got a big promotional tour today for his new show, Star Talk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam raised a good point.
Huh.
I just made that up.
Oh. Sam got all excited. How about this? We could maybe do a speed round with Neil deGrasse Tyson. If you got a question for him, give us a call.
Yeah.
Well, when is it?
What?
Whenever he comes in.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Because people are going to start calling now.
Who cares? They can
No.
call now.
You don't want
Yeah.
people to be on hold the whole time because then we can't talk about other stuff with callers.
It's fine. We don't need to go to the callers.
What are we gonna ask him?
I got this, Sam. Relax.
Yeah.
I'm good. If you have a question for Neil deGrasse Tyson, give us a call. I want him to blow our mind today.
Yes.
Because we've talked about the wormholes and the black holes and the universe and this and that.
I wouldn't say that
Quantum
stuff's boring at this
physics.
point, though. That's still interesting stuff.
No, I know. I'm trying to figure out other things that maybe we haven't covered over the years.
How about his upbringing? Let's ask about his. Do you think that you're becoming a better man? Let's ask the same question this guy just asked. You've had problems with alcohol and drugs. Look like, what? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Just leave.
All right, quick break. Bert Kreischer next. Stay there.
More with Opie and Jim. More with Opie and Jim after this. And now, Opie and Jim are back.
For John Cena? Yeah. Too many wrestling guys around this joint. How old's John Cena? He used to do our show a lot.
Yeah.
38 years old?
38 years old.
All right. Well, tell John Cena to come back and say hi to us.
Love to have him.
Where's Boyd?
Let's get Bert Kreischer in here. Good old Bert Kreischer. And then we got Neil Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson coming in about 5-6 minutes.
Yeah. Hi, Bert.
What's up, Bert? How are you?
We're on the air, so don't say anything racist.
You just...
I do that to my wife. When I'll call her from stage, I'll go, hey, you're on the stage, don't say the N-word.
What are you eating?
Eating a bagel.
They don't like when you eat on mic.
We all...
Oh, bullshit. The fucking...
They don't like it.
I was on your podcast and I had some candy, but I remember I moved the mic and I come
Right.
Oh, yeah.
They beat the shit out of us for that.
Yeah.
We finally stopped eating on mic.
It's the only reason I got into egg whites.
Why?
Because you guys were eating egg whites every fucking moment. Egg whites and oatmeal. You guys were healthy, and I felt like a fucking piece of shit on the road. And I would listen to you guys like on the app, and you guys were all being fucking healthy in the morning.
Well, you gotta.
Yeah, I agree. Health is important.
No, I took a blood pressure medicine this morning. I should be good.
Okay, good.
I was out drinking late last night.
We all have the same creepy jacket.
Really?
You're sitting against a jacket that's exactly the same.
Yeah, my jacket is like yours, which is like Norton's. Well, all three of us have those.
Mine.
That was a college thing that you probably... No, I don't know. Maybe...
What?
Do you remember in college, like, the Gap would be big, and then you go into class and you see dudes wearing the exact same outfit you were wearing?
Of course. Of course. I used to shop at the Gap all the time. I finally had to say goodbye to the Gap.
I just got back into the Gap.
Really?
Oh, yeah. That's my jeans.
You go Gap jeans.
Gap makes great jeans.
Nah, you got.
And then I go B-Rep shirts.
Right.
And then I'm Fry boots.
You got to go Diesel jeans.
Diesel
jeans.
Yeah, why not? Those are great.
Diesel.
Yeah, I love a good diesel jean. No, I don't care. I don't have any brand.
What's wrong with Diesel jeans?
Ah, come on, man. What are you, a bouncer? Diesel jeans?
Yes.
Dude,
I found my jeans at Diesel.
You are a 57-year-old white man.
I'm 57 years young. It's a good age,
You need to accept your breeding.
I did go Gap jeans for a long time, and then I went Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yeah.
I even took a step at the polo jeans one time. Do you know what were really good fucking jeans? Were I had
the Nortons.
Yes, I got it.
Oh, by the way, Jim, your Rogan appearance was fucking awesome.
Oh, thank you.
You dissecting Chip and Uncle Paul and to your girlfriend, that is maybe the greatest fucking thing to do to a fucking... Oh, I loved it. I was in a car howling, laughing at her going, I'll take the salmon, and you going, how much is that?
Yeah, how much is that? Oh, she fucking hated that.
I used to, back in the day, I would be in the car with Jimmy and his girlfriend, and she would have to talk to the characters. And I thought, what the fuck? These guys are, doing this on purpose. And then I learned, no, she has to talk to the characters besides Jim Norton.
I think it's great. I wish I had a character for me and my wife.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Some of the most compelling radio was when you'd have girlfriends in here that were comics, and you wouldn't mention who they were, and I'd be fucking stewing, like texting Sherrod, texting everyone, who's Jim fucking? But I think I found out who it was.
That's years ago.
It was a very long time ago.
Yeah.
Yes,
we were dating. Like I never just picked off a comic and fucked her. I really didn't. It's not because I'm a good guy. It's just none.
It just never happened.
Yeah, they see behind the curtain, and they know that I'm the same jokes behind it that I am in front of it.
You certainly tried.
Yeah, I've tried with a few.
You certainly tried over the years.
But I've never been that creepy with female comics. Like,
yeah.
I've worked with Annie Letterman on the road. I've never worked with Nikki Glaser, but Amy was on the road with me, and never, nothing, not even tried.
You didn't try with Amy Schumer?
Never.
I definitely could have fucked Amy.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
No, was she ever that?
Oh, dude. No, trust me.
I've never seen her that
That's
depressed.
my wheelhouse. That's my wheelhouse.
Oh, really?
I used to pick kids like that off like a sniper in college.
You really feel like you could have got
I used to
Amy
tell
Schumer.
her that all the time.
Really?
I go, just so you know, I could fuck you if I wanted. And I was married. I was married at the time.
Right.
And she's like, no, you couldn't. I was like, definitely could. I definitely could. She's like, you have no fucking shot. I was like, that because you're saying that, that's how I know I could.
What would be your move?
Just listen to her for a little bit.
That does go a long way.
We used to let
if you can listen to some of that babble, it really helps you out.
We used to let Amy stay at our place when we'd go on vacation. We'd let her know that our house is available. This was before she was obviously as big as she is now.
Right.
And she stayed at our place.
I can't see her crashing on the Kreischer couch.
Not now.
I'm hosting the MTV Movie Awards. I'll watch the cats if I can sleep on the sofa.
Take the Expedition, not the Mercedes that's been breaking down.
Are you a Warriors fan or
No, I just have a big fucking head.
You're just wearing the hat.
I have a size 8 head, so
they got a great shot of winning it all.
That's what I heard. I was in San Francisco.
You don't even know.
Nope.
Peckers.
You're just wearing the hat.
Yeah, because I have a big head.
So, yeah, but why not pick like a Cavaliers hat?
Because I have a big head, so and I can only get hats in
You're
cities I'm
deGrasse
in.
Tyson.
Oh shit!
You don't ask.
Sorry,
You
Bert.
walk him right in.
Don't worry about it.
Look at how.
Yes, you are here.
Look
sir.
how cool Neil
See,
deGrasse
buddy, how are
Tyson
you?
looks with the shades on. Hey, Neil.
Hi, sir. Bert Kreischer. I'm a huge fan.
You have a radio voice, sir.
Thank you.
A radio voice.
You got the radio voice, my friend. Yes.
Hey, I'm sorry. I got
You're
hung up.
perfectly on time.
No, you're on
I'm
time.
Yeah,
Literally,
yeah.
I think you're 2 minutes early.
Good
Yeah,
to
you're
see you guys
supposed
again.
to be here at 7:45. You're right on time there.
So let's do this.
How are you?
Hey, guys, good.
Star Talk Mondays at 11 on Nat Geo.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Well, thank you. That's an extension of what happens on like Wednesday. In fact, every day of the week, Star Talk's on Sirius XM.
I know it is.
But Nat Geo picked up like a filmed live version of that, not live in real time, but a living flesh and blood.
Do you do a special version for Nat Geo, or are they filming the whole podcast and then you're picking and choosing what you want to put on?
So what they do is they sort of cherry pick some episodes that we would otherwise be recording, and we put that in the Hall of the Universe of the American Museum of Natural History.
I actually went there recently.
So that's our set. The set is the Hall of the Universe.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got it there. I looked for you.
You looked for me.
I did. I was like, "Where's Neil deGrasse Tyson?" I was just standing by the dinosaurs, shouting like a lost child.
There's a lost child protocol that we go through.
It was fun. I bought magnets.
Yeah.
You know I'm not kidding.
And a gyroscope, whatever.
No, those rock magnets.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. They always have a mind of their own as they
they're
attach
awesome.
them.
They're awesome. Like I bought, you can get as many as you can fit in the bag for $10.
I'm pleased to learn that you are enchanted by magnets.
I was because I
most of us outgrow that by 6th grade, I think.
I would have thought that I did too, but these rocks were so awesome. It was like almost like a weird necklace that one of the Flintstones would have worn, and you just connect them together. I bought a bunch.
They're dark black. They're
dark black, and I watched them when I got home.
Check out the fucking magnets.
But what do you do with them?
Oh, you just magnet them.
You think you're going to have a lot more fun with them than you do.
Right.
You know what you do, Jim?
I'll spend hours with these.
Put one top of the top of the table and move it from the bottom. Blows the kids'
That
minds.
is awesome. I used to do that all the time. But you need a strong magnet at the bottom and any other, magnetic thing. You don't need 2 magnets, just 1 magnet below, and like a paper clip works really well. It has to be like a relatively thin wooden table, and then you put the magnet underneath and just drag the clip across the top of the table.
I do shit that the smartest guy in the fucking world does.
I do that all the time. You freak out kids. You freak out little pets. The cat and everything. That's what we did before the laser. To freak out the cat. You move stuff on the table.
Oh, in the end, he's just a goofball like the rest of us. I love it. I love it.
I've brought your name up. What was the video you did where you walked down the beach with the dog?
That was in Cosmos. That was in Cosmos.
Yeah,
that was an episode of Cosmos.
And you were talking about
but first, if you're curious, I'll tell you how difficult that was to film. But I'm walking down the beach with the dog, and the dog is meandering to my left and to my right, and I'm just keeping my vector. And the point was to indicate that you can have climate change where a temperature is on a persistent rise, but the weather from season to season can fluctuate high and low. So you can't wait for the temperature to get cold and say, there is no global warming, because this is a natural fluctuation of what would happen in the weather.
Yeah.
Laid on top of this slow trend in the climate. And so we had to bury treats for the dog to my left and my right so that the dog would sort of wander back and forth. It looks like the dog is just, sniffing stuff out, but that was like a totally choreographed with a Hollywood dog.
I love that
you
video.
Cheated a little bit.
What?
Cheated a little.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
We had who was the astronaut we had on? Chris Hadfield.
Yes.
Good guy. Oh, man.
He was fun.
Yeah.
It was a great interview.
Did you see
Thank
his?
you, Bert
He
Kreischer.
performed David Bowie in space.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
He has a book out.
He had a
It
viral
was
video.
very good. Well,
Viral video. That's right.
He mentioned some kind of a possible elevator
Space elevator.
Yeah, and he talked about it briefly, but how would that work, and what would they build it out of?
By the way, first of all, I know someone who's already composed space elevator music. It exists in the musical repertoire. So here's the philosophy behind it. All right, there's all this cost of launching to get into orbit. Right, you just look at me. It's beautiful to watch, and who doesn't love a rocket countdown? But if so much expense is involved there, Arthur C. Clarke figured out that there is a place above the Earth where if you're in orbit, you are moving exactly with the rotating Earth, so that it would look like you were hovering above Earth's surface.
What's that, like 23,000 miles?
Exactly, approximately 20. I love this guy. Jim is like closet nerd. At home, he's studying Einsteinian relativity.
I'm closet other things
he only pretends he's stupid in front of you guys. So the space shuttle, when we once had it, and the space station, they orbit relatively close to Earth, and their time to orbit is about 90 minutes. Mm-hmm. So if you stood on Earth, you'd watch them go by. The higher is your orbit, the longer it takes to complete an orbit. So there's this magic spot where it takes 24 hours for it to orbit. So it has been hypothesized that if you put a platform there and then lower a cable, you can lower the cable straight down to Earth.
I just got anxiety.
and then attach an elevator to it, and you don't need rockets. You just need sort of a joist, hoisting system. And that way, you would have routine access to orbital space.
All right. Would we do that, though?
There's no material that can dangle a 23,000-mile cable and hold up its own weight that we have command over. But do you remember Bucky Balls? There was these Carbon 60. Don't look at him like you don't believe that he knows what I'm talking about.
Now, Bucky Balls, I think that he's referring to somebody he played baseball with.
not Bucky's balls, right?
Sorry, never mind. Wrong one.
Do you really know what it is, Bert?
Yeah. And now that we're all talking about it, now I don't.
Okay.
Bucky Balls are the things they sold in.
No.
That's why I looked at him.
It was a newly discovered, a couple of decades ago, it was a newly discovered form of carbon that we didn't know existed.
I was thinking the thing they sold in Brookstone.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right. Carbon 60. It's 60 atoms of carbon configured basically at the vertices of what were the stitches on a soccer ball before they changed the design of the soccer ball. You have 60 vertices there, and carbon makes a sphere. It was a new kind of molecule. It turns out if you cut it at the equator of the sphere and then attach more carbon chains in between it, you can make a carbon tube. And the carbon tube is like 1,000 times stronger than steel and lighter, and it would actually hold up its own weight in a 23,000-mile cable and hold up people who are ascending it. The problem is, last I checked, the longest carbon tube we've been able to make is about 1 centimeter long.
Wow.
We're not there yet.
Yeah, that's a really fast ride.
But in principle, you would be able to just hoist yourself up to this orbital platform. And you wouldn't need rockets. You wouldn't need any of that.
But you'd hover over like Cleveland. Like you wouldn't like get to. You just be over Cleveland your entire life.
Where did that city? All the cities in the world. Where did Cleveland come from?
Well, it's just not the prettiest to look at. You're just looking at a bunch of dirt.
It's a great.
I want to be out over Fiji or something so I can see islands.
Right. So it turns out the physics of it is it would be over the equator. If it were over some other spot, it would actually oscillate north and south of the equator. So you would just park it at the equator, and then that's how you would do it.
How long would it take to get up?
The problem is airplanes flying across the equator. You have to, you don't want to yank them out of the sky with your chains.
Right.
You'd have to avoid that.
Well, there's also. Would you do it with magnets? Would magnets be able to do it? Magnetism. Here's, by the way, can I correct myself? I realized saying magnets made me sound like an idiot, so I threw in magnetism. So I would sound like I was a Harvard graduate. Like I'll wait to talk to Mr. Tyson on his level. Magnetism.
Just add syllables, and then you'll be smarter, right?
I got a question for you. I learned a lot from Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I learned recently that we can make diamonds.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea about this.
Yeah. Oh, so you saw this episode I hosted for PBS Nova Science Now. There's a few years ago.
Right.
And the guys are doing it in like some secret back lot because they don't, they're worried about like the Diamond Cartel coming after them. And so I was taken there blindfolded, and I had to shut off my iPhone, which of course has inertial sensors that could possibly track which way you were going after the fact.
Yeah.
And so then they take off my blindfold and I enter this factory, and they're layering the carbon atoms onto a diamond lattice, and they're making basically perfect diamonds.
And they're real?
And we took the diamonds and brought it to 47th Street and had some people assess it, and it was clear. Most diamonds have certain imperfections because Earth is not as good at making diamonds as we are in the laboratory.
Yeah. So that's going to fuck up the whole business.
It'll ruin it, right?
It could.
Eventually.
However, possibly. However, you would just have to market it differently. All right? Do you want diamonds that nature made? Or do you want diamonds that scientists made in a laboratory? So what might happen
if they're a lot less, then yes.
If they cost less?
Yes, the ones that scientists made.
It's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
I paid a fucking fortune for a ring a few years back.
Here's your $9 earrings.
The future of engagement rings. Honey, this is a pure diamond. But in my Cracker Jack box.
Look, that's a great question, but as a guy, we're all guys here. We're going to go get the scientific diamonds, and then we're going to tell the woman, oh no, I went to De Beers.
I buy the blood diamonds and go, hey, no, these are non-conflict.
Right. Exactly.
I got them out of Canada.
No, but think about it. Suppose we went to another cosmic place and found diamonds on another planet. They would have higher value just because of the knowledge that they came from another place. So what we value is rarity almost more than even what the thing looks like.
And they're not that big yet, though. The ones
they're
making?
hard. Yeah, it's hard. We're not making like Elizabeth Taylor diamonds yet, but tiny ones certainly useful for industrial purposes.
And you taught us, I don't know, maybe last time.
Man, you guys are like at home watching educational television. I'm so proud of you guys.
No, you.
I just met you. Tell me your name again.
I'm Bert
Kreischer.
Bert.
Yeah.
Hey, Bert.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm waiting for my question about time travel. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You've turned a lot of people onto this. You make it a lot easier.
No, you know what it is? Thanks for saying that, but I view it from the opposite direction. I view it as I'm offering this, and people are coming to it.
But you have a way of explaining things that makes it easier.
But if there were no
digest.
deep inner urge for people to want to know this, there's nothing I'm going to do. I can twist your arm, and it wouldn't happen.
Right.
I think this people's inner geek is being revealed, and more people have inner geeks than the marketing industry ever recognized, or than perhaps people ever knew about themselves.
One more question about diamonds. You taught us about a diamond planet. That's definite. There's a planet out there completely made.
Well, no. So there are objects out there that are mostly carbon, and they're under very high gravitational force, and they're very hot. And you have conditions such as what would make diamonds out of carbon. Because remember, diamond is pure carbon, and so it's a form. Carbon comes in many varieties. Buckyballs were one of them. The carbon 60. Diamonds is one. Graphite in your pencil is another one. By the way, when people said lead pencil, because we just call the graphite in there lead, and then they said you might get lead poisoning. It's not from the lead pencil. It's not. The lead was in the paint, the yellow paint that was on the side of the.
I was chewing those pencils for years.
Yeah, I made sure I didn't
explain everything.
Don't admit that at your next job interview, because lead makes you stupid.
I figured that part was the safe.
No.
Oh yeah,
I'm breaking in my mouth.
We all did. I just figured, not the part that you write with.
Right. So this was the big confusion in elementary school growing up. So you would say, okay, as long as I don't chew on the
That's exactly what I was thinking.
On the graphite part, then I'm fine. No, you would.
Oh, that's funny.
I fucking got it.
Yeah, you're totally getting messed up there.
I chewed.
Are they selling moon rocks now? Someone said they're going to put some. It's illegal to sell them, but someone said that they're going to put some of them up for sale. Is that?
That's a great question because it has an awesome answer. Like, did you know how deep the answer would be to that?
I did not. I do know it's illegal to sell them.
Yeah. So moon rocks were brought back from the moon by the Apollo astronauts, and all five, Apollo 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17. So there's 6 missions. 12 human beings walked on the moon. And in each of those missions, they brought back lunar samples, and they were distributed to laboratories, and they're basically in the possession of the United States government, in the collection of the Smithsonian, last I checked, unless there's been some redistributing of that. So, fine. Now, if you go to an auction and say we're selling a moon rock, it would be illegal if it were those moon rocks. Okay, A. B, maybe they are selling those moon rocks, then it's illegal. But if to do it legally, you know how they do it? Once we brought back a moon rock, we said, oh my gosh, is that what a moon rock looks like? Let's go back to the collection of meteorites in the closet. Whoa! One of these meteorites says, where do meteorites come from? Space. So you find a subset of meteorites that exactly match the rocks brought back from the moon. And we conclude that rocks move from one planetary body to another. And that'll happen when you have an asteroid impact that can basically, the recoil from that impact flings rocks from planetary surfaces into interplanetary space where they wander until they become into the grips of the gravitational field of another body.
So it is legitimately from the moon? It is
yes.
legit. Okay.
Not only that, a subset of the meteorites that we have in the closet are also from Mars. So we have Martian meteorites, moon meteorites, and the latest evidence suggests that there's some large asteroids out there that have been hit, fragments of which, because when you get hit, fragments scatter everywhere. Some go out to the outer solar system, some come to the inner solar system. So some went in our direction, collided with Earth, and so we have basically space travelers among us. And this is what triggered the idea of panspermia.
What's that? Sounds delicious.
Panspermia. Yeah, that's a new porn flick, right? Panspermia. So it's the idea that suppose life begins on a planet somewhere, and then life is everywhere, and it's ubiquitous, such as it is on Earth. And imagine this happening on Mars, right at the beginning of the solar system. An asteroid strikes, a rock is flung into space. That rock is coated with Martian life and microbes. If they're microbes that were stowaways in the nooks and crannies, and if they could survive the trip through interstellar space, then this process seeds the formation of life on other planets. And you can say, well, wouldn't they die? Sure they would. But if you didn't die, it meant you were born as a microbe, resistant to the temperature extremes and the radiation extremes of space. You would have been the one survivor of those conditions. Then you'd come to Earth with those properties built in. Properties that would never have been selected if you only existed on Earth. On Earth, we find a category of life that we call extremophiles that thrive under conditions that would render us dead fast. And so it's been hypothesized that some of these microbes that do resist extremes of temperature, you know, the tardigrade, you can like practically, it's a tiny little microbe. It's also called a water bear, the cutest little bugger you ever saw. But it's microscopic. All right, if you freeze dry that thing, all right, put it in a suspended animation, and 10 years later come up and add water to it, it comes back to life. So why would it need to have that property? Unless it's one of the survivors on the interplanetary ship called panspermia.
So you're saying that's how we may have gotten here? Or is it we may have been blasted out from
we
somewhere?
cannot exclude that possibility.
God damn it. Here's the problem with you, is that I'm now going to try to repeat that at a party, and it's just going to come out some guy in the closet with hemorrhoids is selling rocks from everywhere.
Yeah.
And fucking Peter Pan came in his pants. Here we go.
Yeah.
And there's life in these rocks. When will your brain blow up?
Yeah.
Do you just go to bed and like stop your brain, or does your brain just keep going when you're laying in bed?
No, it's in fact, I do have to slow it down a bit, otherwise I don't go to sleep. So there are ways to slow it down. Just put on TV.
Drink a little wine.
Do you meditate?
It slows down the brain entirely. I've spoken to people who meditate, and I found out why they meditate, and I've never really had that need. So no, I've never meditated. I have nothing against it. I've just never found the urge, let me meditate now. No, I've just never had that urge. So those who do say they can find their inner self and they have peace and that, and I'm born and raised in New York. I'm not looking for peace.
You just want noise all the time.
Right, exactly. I was asked by.
I'm trying to get away from the noise.
I was asked by a newspaper one time, where do I go? What place in New York do I go for peace and quiet? And I said and I said a noisy bar.
Really?
Yes, because a noisy bar, everybody's busy doing their thing, and I'm with my own species.
Right.
And so there's a certain comfort level there that I have, having grown up in New York City. And so once that happens, it becomes this background din, because there's a cacophony of sounds. Therefore, there's no sound at all. There's no meaningful sound since it all blends together in the background. And then I enter this acoustic cocoon, and I can have deep thoughts under those. conditions.
Just go to Central Park. What are you talking about?
I like the bars.
Speaking of smart, what do you remember the time that you realized you were smarter than your teachers?
I don't.
Yeah.
Do you, for real?
Well, it's not so much smarter, because who knows what that word even means. But I realized I knew stuff that the teacher didn't know.
At about what age?
I was in kindergarten.
No, come on.
Yes. I drew a picture of that. We had to draw some scene. And I drew a picture of the night sky, and I drew the sky with my black crayon, and I put some stars in it. And the teacher said, no, the night sky is dark blue. And I said, no, it's black. Well, I mean, you can't argue with your teacher, but we were differed on that point. Over the weekend, the teacher comes back the next Monday, said, I'm sorry, it was my mistake. Yes, space is black.
You were 5.
Yeah, about 5 or 6, yeah.
Oh, holy crap.
But that's not any big, deep thing. It's just I'd looked up before, and she hadn't at night. Even though I grew up in New York, I know what colors, where you get a blue color is from daylight. The sunlight scattering into Earth's atmosphere, and at night, the sun isn't up. So it's black, where there aren't stars. So that was one. And then in 9th grade, I reported on the geographic latitude of New York City. Well, the teacher said, this is a stupid thing, but I knew it and they didn't. The teacher said New York's latitude was 43 degrees north. And I said, no, I think it's 41 degrees. And he said, no, I'm quite sure it's 40. And over the weekend, he comes back and apologized, saying, you're right, it is 41 degrees north. And so
you didn't have the internet back then.
No, yeah, back in the old days.
Makes it even more brilliant.
No, so they just, I knew it. And so, but by the way, that's important because it tells you that people who are otherwise tasked with teaching you don't know everything. And that doesn't devalue what they do or who they are, but it tells you that there are still things that anyone can learn. And in math, we would call that an existence proof. It's, wow, this person does not know everything. I might have to learn some of this on my own. And it changes how you approach knowledge and the quest to learn what the universe is and what our place is within it.
What was the last thing you learned?
Oh, I try to learn something every day.
All right, what was the last thing? Do you know offhand?
Every day. Yeah, it must have been yesterday. Hang on. If you give me a second,
okay.
I'll get that.
Just being as smart as you are, does it make like watching like movies like Project Almanac or something about time travel just boring? She's like, that's not.
No. Entertainment is entertainment. So no. I mean, yeah, I'll be watching it, and see if what they got right, and if they pretend, if there's a pretense that they want to get stuff right, then they got me paying closer attention. Oh. If there is no pretense, I'm not paying it any mind at all. Like, for example, in Star Wars. There is no pretense of any physics in Star Wars at all. All right? And
Did I make any mistakes?
So instead, what you do when you have a movie like that is you comb it for things that they happen to get right. So, for example, in Star Wars Episode 4, if I remember my numbers right, there's the scene where Luke is in the desert and he's looking upon the twilight sun, and it's a double star. There are 2 stars setting, and that became an iconic image of the series even. And I and my astrophysicists know that more than half the stars you see in the night sky are double or multiple star systems. So this is the first time a science fiction story captured that in a beautiful romantic way. And so kudos to that scene, because that's exactly what a double sunset would look like.
Would you go to space if you could? That sounds like a childish question, but now they're talking about taking like non-astronauts into space.
Yeah, so you have to ask. I have a different definition of space than does NASA and perhaps most everybody else. Do you remember the dude who jumped out of a perfectly good balloon?
Felix Baumgartner.
Felix Baumgartner? Okay.
Yes.
How was that marketed? Edge of space jump. Remember that? That was the Red Bull tagline, all right? So then I ran the numbers on it, and I said, well, okay, actually, if you scale Earth down to a schoolroom globe and ask, where is he standing relative to the schoolroom globe? It's 1/16th of an inch above the surface. And so I can't, that's not space to me. It's just not.
I mean, where you're floating. Do they take you out there where you're actually, like, where you're floating?
No, because, okay, that's a huge misconception. If you just go up, you still have your body weight. the floating part is not because you're in space, it's because you are in orbit. If you're in orbit, you are what is known as free fall towards Earth. And a really cool fact, and most people don't know this, so it's good. It's good. Okay, so watch what happens. You remember watching the space shuttle take off? Quickly, the thing starts going downrange instead of straight up. Do you notice this?
No.
Yeah, it's kind of like
this.
Yeah. Exactly.
For real, no. But
They notice.
Now I do.
What's your problem here? What, you pay attention to this stuff.
No,
right?
I'm paying attention.
Okay,
I grew
but
up in Florida.
Huh?
I grew up in Florida. We used to watch.
Yeah, you watch it all the time. Yeah.
Just looks like it's going up to me.
No, it's not.
Okay.
For a bit.
Right.
And then they execute the roll program, and then the thing goes downrange.
Gotcha. Okay.
Most of the energy in those tanks is to give the thing high speed horizontally, not to go up vertically. And so here's what happens. So there it is going horizontally. In orbit, as defined by Isaac Newton back in 1687. We've known this since then. Here's what the definition of orbit is. You are going sideways so fast that as you fall towards Earth, the curvature of the Earth curves away from you at exactly the same rate you are falling towards Earth, and you never actually collide. It was one of the most brilliant diagrams ever illustrated. Newton wrote something called The System of the World, which was a popular summary of his book, The Principia. And in there, he has a diagram of Earth. And imagine a little mountain on the North Pole, and you have a cannon, and you spit out a cannonball, and it just falls down right in front of you. Suppose you spit it out faster. It's a horizontal cannon. Spit it out faster. It goes farther before it hits the ground, right? Keep doing this. It'll go farther and farther before it hits the ground. It might curve around Earth's surface and hit the South Pole by the time it hits the ground.
Right.
Keep increasing the speed. Now it comes like 3/4 of the way back around. There is a speed where that cannonball will go completely around the Earth, hit you in the back of the head, but instead you duck, and the cannonball continues and repeats exactly as you started it. And there's no fuel, there's no rockets, and that speed for Earth is 17,500 miles an hour.
That's why you're fucking weightless? Are you shitting
That
me?
is why, because you're in free fall. And what is free fall? You go in an elevator, cut the cable.
Right.
Watch what happens. You're standing on a scale in the elevator. You say, I weigh 165 pounds, okay? How much do you weigh?
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
someone trimmed a few.
Okay. 175.
Do me.
You're 340.
You're 7 pounds off.
Yeah,
But
sorry,
that certainly
right.
is my goal weight there.
I used to wrestle, so I think body weight all the time. So what was I doing? So you're in an elevator, and you can read the scale, right?
Yeah.
And so now someone cuts the cable. Well, the scale reads that because you are squeezing against the floor, and you stuck a scale in between to measure how much you're squeezing the springs, okay? You cut the elevator cable, the elevator falls, the scale falls, and you fall. No longer are you squeezing the scale. And so you become weightless. If you're holding a pen right in front of your eyes, and then let go of it, while the elevator's falling, you're falling, everybody's falling together, the pen will appear to be suspended right in front of your eyes. So, in space, when you are free falling to any direction, you are weightless. But the moment you have your engines on, you are no longer weightless. And in fact, there's talk of running your engines halfway to Mars, so that you feel this artificial gravity, so you don't get this sort of bone mass loss
So when
that
they
you
do
get
a
when you're in zero G. So here's what you do: you run your engines halfway to Mars at 1G, so that's like Earth, right? Then you turn around but you're going really fast by then. You turn around the spacecraft and run the engines in the opposite direction to slow you down at 1G. And that way, you're 1G the whole trip. There's none of this. I'm weightless and I throw up, or I gotta exercise to keep the bone mass and the muscles. And so that's another way to do this trip.
Wow.
Or you spin up a space station and then you live on the perimeter of it, which is what was shown in 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Fascinating.
Yeah, so when they're doing like a quick course correction, or they have to do to avoid something, they actually lose their weightlessness when they do that.
Oh, if they run the engines, what'll happen is everything that's floating, you'll see it drift to one side or another. And during the time, they can move the ship. If you're floating in the air while they're moving the ship, you're still weightless. but the ship will then catch up with you to one side, and then you'll feel weight just as long as the engines are burning.
So you'd want to be on the space station at least.
I wouldn't mind, but if you're going to put me in space, I want to go somewhere. I don't want to just be driving around the block all day. Look, but up until 1972, we were going places. We went to the freaking moon. And by the way, you want to know how far away the moon is by comparison? But you know how high up the space station is orbiting? About 3/8 of an inch above Earth's surface. And we've been calling that space. 3/8 of an inch above a schoolroom globe.
Right.
So we've been calling, and to me, the astrophysicist, that's not space. If you want to put me in space, send me somewhere. Send me back to the moon, onto Mars, to an asteroid, or to a comet, and ride a comet around the sun. That's where I want to go. If I'm going to risk my life going into space, that's what I want to do. I don't want to just go driving around the block.
Is space tourism doing? Oh, sorry. Is space tourism doing that? Because I meant in orbit, like where you feel like you're floating.
Okay, so here's the thing. You can go into orbit and you're weightless continuously. The cheap way to do that is they take you up to like 60 miles. Okay? And at that altitude, the atmosphere is so thin, it's no longer glowing sky blue, and you can see stars in the daytime. All right? So that's the operational definition of what people are calling space. I personally don't like that definition because it means if our atmosphere were half as thick, then space would be at 30 miles. If it was 1/4 as thick, then space would be 15 miles up. If we didn't have atmosphere at all, it would just be Earth's surface. So what does it mean then to define space just above your atmosphere? So, but here's what happens. They take you up to that height and then sort of shut off the engines and you start falling to Earth. That's no different from cutting the cables on an elevator. So you're weightless for like 5 minutes or something, depending on how high up they go.
The vomit comet.
The vomit comet. Right. It's in a trajectory. The vomit comet would go in a trajectory where they shut off their engines, and it takes a sort of a parabolic path back to Earth. And during that time, you are weightless just as you would be if you were in orbit. But in orbit, you're weightless continuously.
The elevator experiment sounds great, but you can't tell anyone about it.
Yeah.
So I had the pen in front of my eyes and it's floating. Well, that's the problem. You can't tell anyone at the end of your experiment.
The first rule of scientific experiments, you want to be alive at the end of the experiment.
Well, there was one elevator that fell. The elevators have something called I think it's called the Governor, which will eventually grip. And in the Empire State Building, one fell a few years ago. Almost 80 stories, I want to say. But the people lived because eventually
it slowed it down, whatever.
It gripped, yeah.
I'm hearing you got to go, but to quickly, isn't it a shame that we didn't go back to the moon since, 1972, I believe?
What do you think my answer is to that question?
I think you're going to say...
Frustration. No, I guess my point is we had a great start, and 72, we just pretty much stopped as far as that goes. Yeah, we should have been on Mars by now.
Right,
hey, could you real quick explain the moon in inches from the school globe? So
thanks for that. So if you have a schoolroom globe of the Earth, you can ask how far away is the moon. Now we're so accustomed to seeing that distance represented in a textbook where the Earth is on one side of the page and the moon is on the other. Most people get that wrong. They would put it maybe 2 feet away or something. No, the moon would be 30 feet away from that moon across. Outside your room in the neighboring room. This is a sense of why the astronauts really went somewhere rather than just driving around the block. Now you want to know where Mars is? Mars would be a mile away.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Really fast, the Horizon satellite.
I don't know, what is that? I don't know.
The New Horizon satellite.
Sorry. New Horizons. Yeah, sure. That's like next month. It will be closer to Pluto.
We're close.
It will be close enough to Pluto to take photos that are better than the best photos we've ever been able to take with Hubble. So you're going to start seeing photos of Pluto making headlines beginning next month. Then in July, there's the flyby of Pluto, where we get the best images ever. And we'll learn Pluto and its system of moons. It's got at least 5 moons. And so even though I was, raked over the coals for participating in the reassignment of Pluto's status, this is a great thing. Pluto's been in our culture for 80 years, and it's high time we've got some good data on it.
We're going to get to know Pluto.
Hey, that's a beautiful. That's beautiful,
Pluto.
Jim. That's beautiful.
Thank you very much. Neil deGrasse Tyson has to leave. It's Star Talk. It's Mondays at 11 o'clock on Nat Geo.
But it's the first talk show on science ever in the history of television. We did some homework on that. We think that's correct. And so you were saying earlier that am I making people listen? No, there's an appetite out there, and we're serving. I'm a servant of the public's appetite.
It's the way you sell it.
You serve it up right.
I want to see this because you have Christopher Nolan, and you're going to discuss the science of Interstellar, which I hear wasn't that
this
bad.
coming Monday.
Yeah.
Well, so the science, they had an actual science advisor, a PhD cosmologist, expert on relativity. So if you're gonna bust a move with relativity, get somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's a colleague of mine at Caltech, who's Kip Thorne is his name, and he was not only advisor to it, he helped advise on the story, as well as he became executive producer. So
on the graphics, right, to make it look so realistic, because I've had certain wormhole theories which were just shot to heck.
He's got it. They're panicking.
Okay.
All right, you got TV. Neil deGrasse Tyson,
All
always
right,
a
guys.
pleasure. Neil Tyson on Twitter.
Thanks for having me, guys. Good to see you.
Star
And
Talk
good to meet you. It was
Mondays
very
at
good meeting you.
11 p.m. on Nat Geo.